If you've been waiting for a moment to slow down, process this year, and connect with the ones that you love during the holidays, then this very serendipitously supportive full moon in the water sign of Cancer happening on December 26th is definitely here to support those intentions. And with the sun entering the sign of Capricorn, which marks the start of winter in the Northern Hemisphere, we're once again reminded of the power of reflecting nature's wisdom through slowing down, hibernating, and drawing our energy back to ourselves. Hello friends, it's Alina, and in this video we'll be diving into the 5 things you need to know all about this upcoming full moon happening at 4 degrees in the water sign of Cancer. I also offer a full outline of this video and the information in it, which you can get directly emailed to you by signing up for my Lunar Gazette by clicking the link in the description box below. So before we dive in, as always, each lunation and astrological event will impact us differently. So I always recommend that you find out what house this full moon will be falling in for your chart specifically, so that you can more accurately predict what specific areas of your life will be most impacted at this time. So I'll start by showing you each sign and the house that this full moon will be landing in for you. I always recommend checking your rising sign, so be sure to do that, and you can go ahead and pause to read. And before we dive in, first I want to say happy holidays to you and yours. I just want to extend to you a loving, comforting hug during this time of the year. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, the summer is starting for you, so I'm wishing you a beautiful summer season. I just want to say how incredibly blown away and grateful I am at your orders and interest in the 2024 Auralign astrology planners. We've already sold out of most of the planner colors, but we still have some inventory of our onyx and sapphire planners. We might have a few rose ones left too. So for the end of the year, we're doing a special sapphire sale. Our sapphire planners are now 20% off, and you can make it a 25% off sale if you bundle it with our wall calendar. And for anyone who doesn't already know, if you or someone you know is interested in aligning your schedule or your life with the cosmos and seasons in the new year, then you should check out the Auralign astrology planner. It's my creation, and it's an annual planner that includes notification for the year's top astrological events, with full and new moon ritual sections for every month, and so much more. So if that piques your interest, then definitely check it out while supplies last. So first up, this full moon is known as a cold moon, which symbolizes the frost that covers the landscapes in the days leading up to and after the winter solstice, which we will be talking a lot more about later in the video. And besides it being a special cold moon from a seasonal perspective here in the Northern Hemisphere, all full moons, I like to call them cosmic spotlights, because they're known to illuminate things that have and haven't been working for us midway through our lunar journey. So as we know, the lunar cycle starts with the new moon, and midway through it, we have the full moon, where the moon is reflecting its fullest capacity of the sun's light onto it. It's when we see the brightest nights of the year. And from an astrological perspective, just as we see that the moon can raise the tides, so too can it raise our emotional and intuitive abilities. The moon in general is the ruling planet of the sign of Cancer, which it is in right now. And so when this happens, this type of full moon is known to be a lot stronger than others. Following the full moon, we see that the light will wane from the surface of the moon. And this is why you see many people doing full moon rituals, where they set aside some time, they get grounded, and they reflect on anything that they might be feeling called to release or let go of. This can be people, places, environments, limiting beliefs, habits, ideologies, anything midway through our journey when we stop to reflect on how far we've come in general in our lives, we might notice might be hindering us or slowing us down in some way. And just as we see that the light wanes from the surface of the moon, so too can the energy around anything that we're asking to release also wane. And this is why in the Auralign astrology planner, there are dedicated full and new moon journal prompts every single month, so you can reflect, set intentions, and live in alignment with the lunar phases. Now, with that context, when we see a full moon in the sign of Cancer, it's one of the strongest lunations for deep rest, emotional release, things like nesting and holding space for our intuition and emotions to be acknowledged and honored. Now, Cancer moons can bring strong energetic support when it comes to finally getting the rest and release that we need, when it comes to holding space for and speaking our truths as well. We also see, as mentioned before, that Cancer's ruling astral body is the moon, and it's a cardinal water sign. So this gives us a bit of context as to why a lunation at this time can increase the likelihood of us experiencing more opportunities for emotional vulnerability, which can often bond us on a closer level with loved ones like friends and family. And for some of us who are not as comfortable with showing our vulnerabilities, now can also be a time where we feel most called to retreat into our, so to speak, shells, which is one of the reasons why Cancer is represented by the crab or the lobster. Now, Cancer moons are also seen as a great time for increased fertility. And considering the pretty lucky and expansive Jupiter transits that we'll be having during this full moon, now can be a very powerful time for intention setting during this very fertile and lucky lunation. So first up, in terms of transits happening at the time of this full moon, we have to extend a very special happy birthday to all of our Capricorn friends, as the winter solstice arrives on December 21st, marking the beginning of winter season and Capricorn season. Now, the winter solstice also marks the shortest and darkest day of the year for us in the Northern Hemisphere. Winter has always drawn communities in the Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere when that is the right time, which will be in 6 months for y'all. It's drawn us to stillness and gathering with loved ones, along with practicing gratitude for the previous spring, summer, and autumn seasons that have passed. Capricorn season specifically can bring energetic support within the realms of structure, duty, institutions, and practicality. And this season is great for getting crystal clear on what your highest priorities are and what deserves your attention the most. It can also feel easier to lock into whatever matters over the fluff, because Capricorn energy, and I'm sure many of y'all know, a huge aspect of Capricorns is being very practical and focused on what really matters. And for my fellow Northern Hemisphere friends, don't let our Eurocentric Gregorian calendar fool you into thinking that you need to be in action with New Year's resolutions in the dead of winter, when we see that so many mammals are in literal hibernation, living in alignment with the actual seasons. We also see that trees and shrubs let go of their leaves, drawing their energy into their roots, allowing them to grow bigger and deeper into the soil at this time, which is something that we don't see. Oftentimes we can assume that both shrubs and trees are even dead, but we know in actuality there is growth, there is work happening, but it's on an inner level and not necessarily for the world to see. So reflecting nature's wisdom now can be a very powerful time for creating grounded structure and plans for the future if we feel called to do so, but not necessarily pressuring ourselves to magically snap into a brand new person at the stroke of midnight, right? Again, when we look to nature, plants don't magically have full leaves and fully bloomed flowers from one day to the next. They take time in the winter to silently grow their roots, and they steadily and slowly bloom and grow at the unique pace that's right for them. Now, the true new year, as many of you know, is the spring equinox. So now, during the winter, can be a great time for rest, reflection, planning, and not necessarily putting pressure on ourselves to actually start or even be in action on January 1st. Next up, in terms of transits, we have some very expansive and pretty lucky things happening during this full moon and holiday season, when we see that the sun will be trining Jupiter. Now, this is the type of transit that is often known to usher in things like prosperity, good luck, and opportunities, mainly thanks to Jupiter, known as the planet of luck, optimism, and growth, having this very beneficial trine aspect with the sun, our central star that's known to really impact our personality and our sense of self. So when we see them coming together in this way, it can definitely create a pretty fertile ground for intention setting, searching for opportunities, being open-minded to them, and taking steps towards expansion in any area of life that you're feeling called towards right now. And seeing that the sun will have just entered the sign of Capricorn and Jupiter will be in the sign of Taurus, this luck and expansion will likely be felt in areas of our life pertaining to the 10th and 2nd houses. So those areas include things like our career, our long-term goals, structure, reputation, and those being the Capricorn aspects and the 10th house aspects, along with things like resources, routine, money, and habits, along with possessions, which are all things that are impacted by the 2nd house in Taurus. So all in all, this Sun trining Jupiter transit at the time of this full moon will definitely be one that offers pretty lucky, expansive, and supportive energy within the realms of our work, structure, and resources. But this can also be a beautiful time for taking steps in the direction of any of your intentions if you feel called to do so. Next up, another pretty supportive transit, especially around the time of the holidays, where we're all a lot more likely to be around loved ones, community, or even just maybe working or being around more people. We see that the moon will be sextiling Jupiter. Now, the reason why I say that this can be supportive is because, yet again, we see Jupiter having a very mutually supportive and complementary aspect with the moon this time, this closest astral body to the earth that's known to impact our inner world, our emotions, and our intuition. And seeing as the moon will also be in the comforting and nurturing home sign of Cancer, we see that this is the type of transit that can also foster pretty harmonious family, community, and general social interactions. We can tend to feel a bit more cheerful, optimistic, and open to the potential opportunities at this time as well. Now, does this guarantee that things will be perfect and peaceful? No, but it definitely can set the stage for things to go more smoothly than even expected for many of us. And considering the state of the world, I will take what I can get. I don't know about you. And finally, at the time of this full moon, we'll see that Mercury will be squaring with Neptune. Now, this is a type of transit that can tend to create a bit of confusion and a higher likelihood for things like misinterpretation or projecting our own ideas of what someone means or the meaning behind any sort of events or memories, and being able to clearly see the situations as they are. Now, this is because we see that Mercury, the planet of information exchange, travel, the internet, and intellect, which is also currently in retrograde, by the way, is having a squared aspect with Neptune, the planet of illusion, imagination, and fantasy. So when in a squared aspect together, it can tend to bring about this amplified challenges and friction between these astral bodies that are coming together. And it can often manifest as things like challenges that can pressure us to take action on the areas that these astral bodies impact. So for Mercury, that's thinking, information exchange. And for Neptune, that's our illusions, fantasies, ideas, our imagination, and them potentially coming together, clashing together, and creating a bit of confusion when it comes to information exchange, a bit more of projection of our imagination onto the information. So with this transit, we're seeing potential friction being on clear information and potential illusions or fantasies potentially fogging our vision. So overall, this is the type of transit that can tend to amplify any already apparent Mercury retrograde symptoms, unfortunately. So it will be very important and very beneficial to really pause and process before we react, whether it's in conversation or emails, and really leaning into healthy boundaries if we feel that we need it. Doing things like backing up our electronics and double checking any sort of travel plans. And before I wrap up talking about this transit, 2 honorable transit mentions that will also set the stage for these transits will include when Mars will also be squaring Neptune and Venus will be trining Neptune. So these are both transits that will have slightly less of an impact on us compared to the other ones that I mentioned earlier in the video, but they're still pretty notable as they're known to not only increase the likelihood of confusion when it comes to being in action and getting things done, or any sort of anger or sort of force, which is the areas of our lives that Mars impacts. But with Venus coming into play, it can also create a bit more of a dreamy and loving environment during this full moon and the holiday season. So have fun, have an open heart, let your emotions flow, but definitely be attentive to any small details when it comes to communication, travel, and your electronics. And by the way, if you made it this far in the video, if you're enjoying yourself and you have not yet subscribed, what are you doing? And also don't forget to check out this awesome Sapphire sale that we're doing right now, where you can get 20% off or even up to 25% off when you get our Sapphire Astrology Planner for 2024 and when you bundle it with our wall calendar. Next up, in terms of some tips for aligning with this Cancer full moon, I think one of my biggest tips, I literally just said it before, is holding space for your emotions to flow, having an open heart, being open to processing anything that you might not have wanted to process maybe in the past, whether it be emotions, memories, experiences. Obviously, don't do what you don't want to do, but I'm saying that because this Cancer full moon, with the moon being in the sign of Cancer and full moons being a time of illumination, of bringing things to the surface, with it being in this water sign, this sign that really emphasizes and facilitates and supports emotional release and processing, this can be a very beneficial time in that I think that there can be a higher likelihood where we can find the lessons in these experiences, where we can connect the dots. But it's often only when we hold space for those emotions and feelings to come through, when we learn to articulate them, whether that's through talk therapy with loved ones, journaling, that we actually face things that we can tend to find solutions or heal in a way that we might not have experienced in the past. And again, in terms of emotional release, full moons in general are a time of release. Like mentioned before, as the light wanes from the moon's surface following this full moon, so too can anything that you're looking to release also energetically wane from having a hold on you, or this energetic force on you in a lot of ways. On the other side of the coin, full moons are also a beautiful time for celebration. Again, with it being a spotlight on our lives, on the other side of the coin, the duality of this is looking at how far we've come and celebrating, especially in respects to themes that of Cancer. So how have we grown in terms of our relationship with boundaries, in terms of holding space for our emotions, in terms of creating a safe space for ourselves, whether that be our home, at work, with our family, with our chosen family, our community. So reflecting on those things, if you'd like to manifest those things, all of those things can be powerful at this time. And if you need any more ideas for what to focus on, you can focus on aspects of the fourth house, which Cancer rules. So that being siblings, emotions, comfort, boundaries, femininity, and our family. Next up, for collective perspective, I'll go ahead and offer you 2 ideas for ways to engage in your community in any sort of humanitarian effort or volunteer efforts around this time that are in alignment with the themes of this Cancer full moon. So the first idea I feel like is so cute, and it's joining a senior companionship program. So considering that this Cancer energy of the full moon really highlights the importance of emotional support, this program where you can spend time with the elderly, offering companionship and assistance, could be right for you. You can explore the opportunities with organizations like senior courts. The second idea is joining a local community soup kitchen. So this can be a great way to help provide meals and support those in need, especially during the colder months, not just during the holiday season. Now you can connect with organizations like Feeding America to find local volunteer opportunities. And as always, I've left linked in the video description to learn more. And I'd love to hear any other ideas or suggestions that you might have in the comment section below. And finally, let's get into these Cancer full moon journal prompts. If you have your Auralign astrology planner for 2023, you can go ahead and flip over to December's cold moon, full moon journal prompt area, where you'll find space to write all these out and additional prompts to respond to. What I'll do is I will read out the prompts. I invite you to pause the video, write them out, and when I'm done, we'll come back. Are there any memories, experiences, or emotions you've been avoiding processing or thinking about in recent months? Why is that? How would you describe your ideal week of rest or self-care? If you couldn't fail in the new year, what would you focus on? And finally, for this full moon, is there anything that you're ready or feel called to release? All right, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. I'm gonna have a little heart-to-heart with y'all, but before you go, if you made it this far, I invite you to comment 3 blue heart emojis. I am just wishing you comfort and peace at the closing of this year, and I'm just extending so much gratitude to you. And before we wrap up, I just want to have a small stream of consciousness with you. And I just want to thank you guys so much for this year, for 2023. I want to thank y'all for your support, for your patience, for your kindness, and just for hanging out with me, you know, in these videos in this little corner of the internet over the last year. So many things happened this year, so many beautiful things. You know, my wedding, I got to get married to my best friend. At the end of 2022, I got to move into our home, and none of this would have happened without your support. None of it. And I'm just really deeply grateful for you, and I want you to know that. I want you to know that, you know, leading up to the wedding, you guys left such supportive messages, and I received those, you know, your kind wishes, and even your feedback. You know, there's been plenty of times this year where I posted a video and like there were typos in it. It was a full moon and I wrote new moon, and even the feedback when you guys are like, that was a typo, or oh, you messed this up, or even on the website, like, I appreciate it because I know that you guys are, it's coming from support. I'm just deeply grateful that we can connect on these topics, you know. I don't know about you guys, but it's only recently that I've been able to build a group of friends and a community where I feel seen and heard and resonate when it comes to spiritual topics and astrology. And I don't know if that's the same for you, but being able to share these videos and connect with you on these things that I'm so fascinated by, it's deeply fulfilling and it makes me feel less alone. And I'm just sending you so much love and juju right now. Like, I'm literally sending it to you right now, and I'm sending you a big hug, and I'm wishing you a beautiful closing of the year and a beautiful start for next year. Yeah, man, like, to be honest, fulfilling planner orders and stuff like that, as with every year, this is my fifth copy of this planner, you guys. I started this as a Kickstarter, and the first year I wasn't able to sell them all, so I was literally giving them away. Like, I would go to like networking things and I would give them away just for some exposure to try and like get people to get them. And it's just kind of crazy to see the growth, but also to see the time that it took, that it wasn't just an overnight thing. And I also really want to emphasize that too. I feel like, I don't know if you feel this way with me, maybe you don't. Maybe it's other social media people. I feel this way sometimes, but I feel like sometimes people on social media, like, you see the end result. This fulfillment cycle was challenging. There were a lot of hiccups along the way, but there was so much support. I also want to say thank you to my marketing manager, Alexis Cron. A lot of the social media posts, like the shorts that you see on my YouTube channel and on the Instagram page, we have a TikTok. All of those things were created from the from the beautiful mind of Alexis Cron. When you send emails for customer support, 9 times out of 10, most of the time, if not most of it, was Alexis Cron this year. She created so much relief for me. I used to do literally everything by myself. My brother helped me fulfill orders, and I'm just feeling the love, y'all. I'm feeling just a deep gratitude for community this year, and yeah, I could keep going, but I know you guys get the point. Anyway, I'm sending you my love. And, you know, I'm so bad at marketing, I have to say it, but we're having our Sapphire sale. So if you want to get your planner for the new year, be sure to do it. Or if you got yours and you're like, yo, this is awesome, and your cousin or your friend or someone's like, that is pretty cool, it's not too late to get it as a gift, you know, for the new year or something. We also have gift cards that you can still give to them during Christmas or whatever holiday that you're celebrating at the closing of the year in December, so they can still get something. But anyway, I'm sending you my love, and I'll end with my favorite quote for the year, and that is, be gentle with yourself, because life is about the journey, not the destination.